Will there ever be a time in the future where we don't require conflict? Will there be a time where peace and harmony, something desired by millions upon millions of people, are felt and cherished everywhere? The desired answer to this question is yes. But many of you will agree that the real, honest answer is a resounding no. The term conflict has been known to civilization since the dawn of time, but only in the last 100 years has a new type of conflict emerged, modern conflict. And this new type of conflict can have untold effects upon the populations unlucky enough to experience it. Most of the conflicts that exist today perpetuate, existing for not just years, but for decades, with little or no significant breakthroughs. And even if war is solved, which in itself is seldom achieved, then coming to terms with all the destruction that war causes is often a long-term and painstaking process. Now, my parents are both Americans, and in 2004, it had been a year since the UK and US invasion of Iraq. And whilst we were at the Docklands Museum in East London, I remember an Iraqi man coming up to my dad and lashing out at him. And being the naive, innocent child that I was at the time, this seemed very disconcerting for me. But there was one thing that he said that has resonated with me ever since. One statement. How could you do this to my country? But you see, the problem today is that we develop a very myopic perspective of war, because we only get to see it through the eyes of the media and through politicians, either advocating or denouncing it. So yes, on the one hand, we get to see the initial horrors that war can cause, and the short-term effects. But what we don't get to see are the long-term, secondary effects. One only has to imagine that you lived in a place like Baghdad. Imagine that you had to travel to work every morning knowing that a bomb blast could mutilate, or even kill you. Imagine the constant anxiety you would feel. And of course the trauma that would follow the death of one of your loved ones. Imagine how your business might be affected. So I suppose the question you're wondering now is, why did this man decide to castigate my dad? Well, my dad is just an innocent American. He has nothing to do with the war in Iraq. But because of what he'd seen, this man had come to view all Americans as cruel, malignant people, willing to inflict war wherever possible. So that's why, when he heard my dad's accent, this stereotype simply took hold of him. Do you really want to know how much money has been spent by the United States in Iraq since 2003? Do you really want to know this figure? $4 trillion. $4 trillion. Do you know how much $4 trillion is? Well, if you take that figure and you divide it by the total US population, that means that every American has had to pay over $12,000 for the war in Iraq. $12,000 in tax. And what have they got from that? Is it justifiable spending $4 trillion on a conflict when it's not just the lives of individuals that are damaged, but a whole society? Is it morally right? That's the question I leave you with today. Thank you.